Hello viewers, my name is Jingo David. I welcome you for this lesson. This is the second lesson of carbohydrates and lipids, and we are still looking at carbohydrates. In the previous lesson, we saw that all carbohydrates are made up of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen, and they all conform to this general formula, which is having a CX in brackets H2O and Y. And we saw that all carbohydrates conform to this except the oxyribose. If you look at the difference between ribose is the carbohydrate which is found in RNA, and the oxyribose is the carbohydrate which is found in DNA. Actually, that's why this one is called ribonucleic acid, and this one is called the deoxyribonucleic acid. If you remember that, this one is called deoxyribonucleic acid, and then this one is called ribonucleic acid. So the word ribo is because of the carbohydrate which it is made up of. Actually, we are going to see that the nucleic acids are made up of carbohydrates as well. The carbohydrates that make them, they include ribose and deoxyribo. So the deoxy is just having one oxygen atom less. It's like as if one oxygen is removed there, like the toothing, remove over the tooth. So deoxy, it means that one oxygen atom is removed from ribose to form deoxyribose. And if you look at this one, it can conform to the general structure, to the general formula, because we can easily have C5H2 and 5 here, so that when you multiply this 5, you get 5 times this 2, you get the 10, and 5 times 1, you get the 5. But when it comes to this, when it comes to the deoxyribose, it is C5H2. Actually, it can't work out, because the only way it could work out, if this was 5, it would work out like the way we have seen it there. Because in each carbohydrate, the number of hydrogen atoms is supposed to be twice the number of oxygen atoms. So here, this is 5, this is 10, 5. If you have seen it also here, this is 12, this is 6. So the number of hydrogen atoms is twice the number of oxygen atoms. This is 22. This is 11. This is 5n, 10n, 5n. So this general formula can only be conformed to by any compound in case it has the number of hydrogen atoms twice the number of oxygen atoms. So that's the unique feature of all carbohydrates. So you'll find it a common objective question. They can ask you which of the following carbohydrates does not conform to the general formula, this. And they put for you RNA, DNA, and any other they can be interested in. Actually, I can design that question for you here. I can design the question like this. Which one of the following carbohydrates does not conform to the general formula of carbohydrates? The general formula of carbohydrates. And I put A, starch, B, glycogen, C deoxyribose, deoxyribose. So the answer for this is supposed to be D. So when you put D, that's when you can get the answer correct, because it is only deoxyribose whose molecular formula does not conform to the general formula of carbohydrates, since its number of hydrogen atoms are not twice the number of oxygen atoms. And I believe you have also known why carbohydrates are called carbohydrates. They are called carbohydrates because they have hydrogen, they have the ratio of hydrogen to oxygen being equal to 2 to what? To 1, just as in water. Just as in water. So that's why they are called carbohydrates. And the word carbo is representing that they are also made up of carbon. So now we can go ahead to look at the general structure. We have finished the general formula. We can now look at the general what? Structure. The general structure. General structure of carbohydrates. The general structure of carbohydrates. Now we have seen that all carbohydrates are made up of, so we are looking at the general structure. The general structure of carbohydrates. So we have already seen that all carbohydrates are made up of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, represented by this general formula. Now the question is, how are these atoms usually arranged? One thing, actually there are two things for us to note that you'll find in each and every carbohydrate. In each and every structure of a carbohydrate, you find that how are these atoms arranged? We shall always find that all except only one carbon atom, all the rest of the carbon atoms have an OH group attached to each or to them. So if you have, for example, if you have 3 carbon atoms, or if you have, okay, let me say 3. If you have 3 carbon atoms, we shall find all the carbon atoms having an OH group attached to it, attached to them, except only one. So if you have like 5, if you have like a 4, you'll find the same thing happening. If you have like a 5 carbon atoms, so you'll find the same thing happening. You find the same thing happening. So that's the first thing you should know as far as their general structure is concerned. In each carbohydrate, except only one carbon atom, the rest should have an OH group attached to them. It doesn't matter whether the OH group is this side, it doesn't matter. But what matters is that each and every carbon atom should have an OH group attached to it. This OH group is what we call the hydroxyl group. Hydroxyl group. Except only one. So the first thing we are noting is that every carbohydrate has an OH group attached to each of its carbon atoms except only one carbon atom. Now that remaining carbon atom which does not have an OH group, it forms another group. It forms another group, and that's what we call the carbonyl what? Group. It forms the carbonyl what? Carbonyl group. And in organic chemistry, when we study organic chemistry, we shall find that we have two types of carbonyl groups. We have what we call an aldehyde group. An aldehyde group. And what we call a ketone group. A ketone group. And a carbonyl group is any group which has carbon and a double bond. I mean carbon bonding with oxygen using a double bond. So any group which is like that, it can also be represented like this. Any group, as long as we are having carbon bonding with oxygen with a double bond. Carbon bonding with oxygen with a double bond, that's what we call a carbonyl what? Group. Now, this carbonyl group, it can either be at the terminal end of the carbon chain. It can either be at the terminal end. It can either be at the terminal end, or it can be in the center, or it can be within. It can either be at the terminal end, or it can be within or along the chain. Along the chain. Now, if it is within, if it is at the terminal end, it is called an aldehyde group. If it is at the terminal end, it is called an aldehyde group. And if it is within the chain, this one is within the chain or along the chain. Along the chain, within the chain. It's along the chain. Here at the terminal end. At the terminal end. So if I draw this, if I write this like this, you understand that this is an aldehyde group. This one is a ketone group. Even if I add here more carbon atoms, you understand this one is a ketone group. So I know you have not yet studied this in chemistry, in organic chemistry, but I'm making you to understand them as well. So a carbonyl group is any group which is having carbon bonding with oxygen using a double bond, and can either be found at the terminal end of the carbon chain or within the carbon what? Chain. Now, because of that location, actually after drawing something like this, we can satisfy the valence of carbon using hydrogen atoms. Using hydrogen what? Atoms. Of course, since I put this one inside, then this one should have OH. Because in every carbohydrate, only one carbon atom should be left without the OH. So here we have carbon atom 1, 2, 3. Carbon atom 2 and 3, they have OH except carbon atom 1. If I'm to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we shall see that it is carbon atom 1, 2, 4, and 5 all have OH except carbon atom 3. So that carbon atom which does not have OH, it should have the carbonyl group. It should be the one to form the carbonyl what? Group. If I'm to count here, 1, 2, 3. Now this carbonyl group, it can even be down. We should not just cram that it should be up. It can even be down. So it can even be down. So, but it doesn't. Still, even if it is down, it is still at the terminal what? End. It is still at the terminal end. So now, if you are to count here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can be able to see that for this case, all the carbon atoms have, all carbon atoms 1, 2, 3, and 4 have OH groups attached to them, except carbon atom number 5. So that carbon atom number 5, which does not have the OH group attached to it, you make it to have a double bond with oxygen, and that's how it can be able to form the carbonyl what? Group. The carbonyl group. So it means that when you're drawing the structure of the carbohydrate, the first thing you do is you draw the linear structure of the, you draw the linear chain of carbon atoms. 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 Then after drawing the linear chain of carbon atoms, you make sure that each carbon atom has OH, except only one. Then the one which does not have OH, you make it to form the carbonyl what? Group. You make it form the carbonyl group. Then after that, you satisfy the valence of carbon. You satisfy the valence, the covalence of carbon. The covalence of carbon using hydrogen what? Atom. What I'm trying to mean to a layman, you ensure that each carbon atom is having 4 bonds connecting to it. Each carbon atom should have 4 bonds connecting to it. Each carbon atom. So that's what you do next. So how, and you achieve that by just putting their hydrogen atoms. For example, here, I'll come here and I say, if I look at this one, it has 1, 2, 3, so it is just missing 1 bond. I put it there. If I look at this, 1, 2, 3, it is just missing 1 bond. I put there the hydrogen atoms. 1, 2, 3, no, 1, 1, 2. So I put hydrogen atom here, hydrogen atom here. So just satisfy the rest using hydrogen what? Atoms. Using hydrogen atoms. So this one has 1, 2. I put hydrogen atom there and the hydrogen atom here. Here I put hydrogen atom. 1, 2, 3, 4. That one is satisfied. 1, 2, 3. I put hydrogen here. 1, 2, 3. I put hydrogen here. 1. Put hydrogen there, like that. So even the other ones, I satisfy them. I satisfy them like this. And this one, I put hydrogen there, hydrogen there, hydrogen there, to ensure that each carbon is having 4 bonds connecting to it. I do that. Even this one, I can complete it like that, like this. So the rest I just put there, I just dump there hydrogen. I just dump there what? Hydrogen. Just dump there hydrogen. Now if you see clearly, the whole of this, in some textbooks you find the whole of this written as CH2OH, the whole of that. So it is the same as something like this, the same as this. It is the same thing. It is the same thing. But that's how we can have the structure of carbohydrates. Now, we can follow in the next lesson to understand more about this.